A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush is a proverb we often use to justify settling for less. But in the realm of high-performance psychology, its truncated meaning hides a more profound warning about the cost of holding on to unexecuted ideas. When we grip the bird of a small, unfinished task too tightly, we lose the dexterity needed to capture the larger opportunities flying just out of reach, essentially paralyzing our future potential with the weight of our current inaction. Sarah sits in the dim glow of her living room, her eyes fixed on a single, unopened mail envelope on her coffee table that has become a physical manifestation of her own mounting internal resistance. The silence of the room is heavy with the static of things left undone, a mental white noise that hums at the edge of her consciousness and drains her battery before the day has even truly begun. She is a victim of initiation friction, a psychological phenomenon where the brain's survival mechanism misidentifies a simple administrative task as a threat to its precious energy reserves. This script is a forensic examination of the stuck life, an analysis of how the smallest grains of sand can eventually seize the most powerful engines of human ambition and creativity. Sarah's apartment is a gallery of laters, a half-folded laundry basket, a stack of books to be returned, and a digital inbox that feels like a looming tidal wave of social and professional debt. She represents the modern paradox of being highly capable, yet feeling completely immobilized by the sheer volume of micro-decisions that populate the landscape of a 21st century life. Our neurological hardware was never designed to manage 1,000 open loops simultaneously, yet we force our minds to run these background processes until the system inevitably begins to lag and crash. In the ancient workshops of Japan, craftsmen discovered that the secret to enduring mastery was not found in the grand stroke of the blade, but in the relentless management of the smallest details. They developed a philosophy called Kaizen, which translates to change for the better, a commitment to incremental improvement that prioritizes the small, immediate action over the distant, overwhelming goal. The 2-minute rule is the modern psychological evolution of Kaizen, a behavioral trigger designed to hack the brain's executive function and bypass the paralysis of analysis entirely. The rule is a binary switch for the mind. If a task can be completed in 120 seconds or less, the window for deliberation is closed, and the window for execution is immediately forced open. Imagine Sarah standing over that envelope. Instead of wondering where to file it or how to respond, the 2-minute timer in her head clicks, and she simply picks it up and opens it. The sound of the paper tearing is a tiny, sharp victory against the inertia that has held her hostage, a physical proof that the mountain was actually just a thin layer of cellulose. Within 60 seconds, the mail is sorted, the bill is paid via an app, and the paper is in the recycling bin, leaving the coffee table and her mind unexpectedly clear. When she completes this micro-task, her brain's reward system releases a small hit of dopamine, a chemical thank you for closing a cognitive loop and reducing the overall system load. We often underestimate the cumulative power of these small wins, failing to realize that a productive life is simply a long string of successfully managed 2-minute intervals. Every task we defer acts as a memory leak in our internal operating system, consuming bits of focus and attention that should be dedicated to our most profound and creative work. Sarah moves to the kitchen, where a single dirty plate sits in the sink, and instead of walking away, she applies the rule again, her hands moving with a newfound sense of mechanical purpose. As the water flows, she realizes that the pain she associated with cleaning was entirely centered in the moment of starting, a phantom sensation that vanished the second she engaged with the task. Neuroscience tells us that the anticipation of a task we dislike activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain, but this activation drops to zero once the work actually commences. By utilizing the 2-minute rule, Sarah is effectively shortening her exposure time to this neurological pain, making it easier and easier to initiate action throughout her day. She is building a new neural pathway, a bias toward action that replaces her old habit of bias toward rumination, shifting her default state from a spectator to an active participant. On day 2 of this new regime, Sarah wakes up and realizes that her morning dread is significantly diminished because she isn't waking up to a backlog of yesterday's failures. The kitchen is clear, her inbox is manageable, and the visual clutter of her environment has been thinned out, allowing her thoughts to move with a speed and clarity she hasn't felt in years. She notices that she no longer has to psych herself up for the workday. The momentum from her morning microtasks has already carried her past the initial barrier of resistance. Her colleagues notice a shift in her energy, a sense of lightness that comes from no longer carrying the invisible heavy baggage of 100 deferred micro-decisions. By refusing to let the small things pile up, she has effectively prevented the compounding interest of stress from bankrupting her mental health and her professional focus. This is the essence of high-level cognitive hygiene, the daily practice of clearing the debris of existence before it has a chance to harden into a permanent obstacle. On day 3, Sarah finds herself in the middle of a complex project, and she realizes that her capacity for deep focus has doubled because her mental desktop is finally clean. The 2-minute rule has acted as a filter, catching the debris of daily life and processing it instantly, leaving her higher functions free to engage with the truly difficult challenges. She realizes that stuckness is often just a collection of microstalls, a series of tiny hesitations that eventually add up to a total loss of forward momentum. On day 4, the rule becomes an automatic reflex, a part of her character rather than a conscious effort, as she handles the world with a fluid, effortless efficiency. She sees a stray sock, she picks it up. She sees a quick email, she replies. She sees a minor chore, she executes, and in doing so, she maintains a state of perpetual motion. This motion is the enemy of anxiety, for anxiety thrives in the gaps between thought and action, growing in the fertile soil of our own hesitation and self-doubt. Sarah reflects on how much energy she used to waste on planning to do things, realizing that the plan was often more exhausting than the execution itself could ever have been. The 2-minute rule has simplified her life into a series of immediate yes or later decisions, removing the maybe that is the primary source of human mental fatigue. By day 5, she notices that her big goals no longer seem so intimidating because she has mastered the art of the micro-start that precedes every major achievement. She realizes that a marathon is just a long sequence of 2-minute efforts, and a masterpiece is just a collection of small, focused strokes applied with consistency and presence. The Japanese wisdom of Kaizen has transformed her from a person who waits for inspiration into a person who generates inspiration through the simple act of moving. She understands now that the perfect time to act is a mirage, a horizon that recedes the more you chase it, while now is the only ground upon which anything can actually be built. Sarah looks at her life and sees a landscape that has been transformed by the steady, quiet application of a rule that most people would dismiss as being too simple to matter. She has found the deep mind portal within herself, the threshold where the heavy gravity of procrastination is replaced by the effortless lift of habitual action and clear intention. This transformation is available to anyone who is willing to stop looking for the grand solution and start looking for the next 2 minutes of their own reality. It is a shift from the macro to the micro, from the overwhelming whole to the manageable part, and from the paralysis of fear to the liberation of the immediate. If you are listening to this and feeling the weight of your own stuckness, know that the exit is closer than you think, and the key is much smaller than you imagined. You do not need a new life. You simply need to reclaim the 2-minute intervals that are currently slipping through your fingers and clogging up your mental gears. The watched pot of your potential will never boil as long as you are afraid to touch the dial and engage with the heat of the present moment's demands. Sarah's story is a testament to the fact that we are not defined by our grandest intentions, but by the small, quiet actions we take when no one is watching and nothing big is at stake. As she closes her laptop for the weekend, She doesn't feel the usual Sunday scaries looming over her, because she knows she is a woman who can handle whatever the world throws at her. She has built a foundation of reliability within herself, a trust that when a task appears, she will move toward it rather than away from it, creating a deep sense of internal security. The 2-minute rule has become her operating system, a set of instructions that ensures her life remains in a state of flow, regardless of the external chaos that may surround her. She has learned to value the now over the later, the done over the perfect, and the movement over the meditation, finding her peace in the middle of her productivity. This is the true meaning of an unstuck life, a life where the distance between a thought and an action is as short as possible, leaving no room for the weeds of doubt to grow. Every time you choose to act in the next 120 seconds, you are casting a vote for a future version of yourself that is more capable, more confident, and more free. You are dismantling the monument of avoidance that you have spent years building, replacing it with a garden of action that is lush with possibility and clear of the thorns of regret. Sarah stands at her window, looking out at a world that no longer feels like an obstacle course, but like a canvas ready for the small, consistent strokes of her renewed agency. She is no longer waiting for the fog to lift before she starts her journey. She has realized that the act of walking is what clears the fog and reveals the path ahead. The wisdom of the ages is often hidden in the most mundane places, and the secret to a grand destiny is often found in the way we handle a single dirty dish or a single short email. We are the sum of our smallest choices, the collection of our briefest moments, and the reflection of how we treat the 2-minute intervals that make up the fabric of our days. Sarah has found her deep mind portal, and she is standing on the other side of the resistance, looking back at the woman she was, with a sense of compassion and profound relief. The cursor on your screen is blinking right now, a digital heartbeat that is asking you what you are going to do with the next 2 minutes of your precious, finite existence. Do not let the moment pass into the void of later. Do not add another brick to the wall that is keeping you from the life you are meant to live and the work you are meant to do. The exit from your stagnation is not a grand gateway, but a series of tiny doors that are opening all around you every single hour, waiting for you to simply reach out and turn the handle. The 2-minute habit is the master key that opens all of them, a simple tool that turns the impossible into a series of dones and the stagnant into a river of flow. As you finish this narration, your environment will present you with an opportunity, a small task, a quick chore, a brief communication, and your life depends on what you do next. Will you let the memory leak continue, or will you execute the code, close the loop, and reclaim the energy that has been stolen from you by the ghost of procrastination? The choice is as simple as it is profound, and the rewards are as vast as the effort is small. A mathematical miracle of human psychology that is waiting for you to trigger it. Sarah has moved on from her stuckness, and she is waiting for you to join her in the clear, vibrant air of a life that is managed with grace and moved by the power of now. There is no perfect timing, there is no ideal mood, and there is no sufficient motivation. There is only the clock, the task, and the 2 minutes you have at your disposal. Every masterpiece started with a single small mark. Every empire started with a single small decision, and every unstuck life starts with a single small 2-minute win. You are the master of these intervals, the commander of these micro-moments, and the architect of a destiny that is built from the ground up, one small, immediate action at a time. The watched pot is irrelevant when you are busy tending to the fire, and the bird in the hand is finally free to fly when you stop clinging to the safety of your own stagnation. The path is clear, the rule is simple, and the power is yours. All you have to do is refuse to let the next 2 minutes of your life be consumed by the shadow of later. We are all just a few small choices away from a completely different reality, a reality where we are the ones who move the world, rather than the ones who are moved by our own fear. Sarah's story is a blueprint for your own liberation, a map of the deep mind portal that leads from the dark room of avoidance into the bright light of total presence and agency. Take the lesson, apply the rule, and watch as the impenetrable walls of your life begin to dissolve into the thin air from which they were originally constructed by your own hesitation. The world is waiting for the version of you that isn't slowed down by the drag of 1,000 unfinished tasks and the weight of 1,000 deferred dreams. Become the person who handles the easy things with such consistency that the hard things no longer have the power to intimidate you or stop your forward progress. The clock is ticking, the loop is open, and the 2 minutes are yours to use or to lose. The choice you make right now will echo through the rest of your day and your life. If you found this exploration of the initiation reflex and the 2-minute rule helpful, please consider subscribing to Deep Mind Portal as we continue to map the hidden landscapes of human potential. The Deep Mind Portal is always open for those who are ready to stop watching the pot and start stoking the fire of their own immediate, unshakable momentum. Your life is not a project to be completed later. It is a series of moments to be lived now, and the 2-minute rule is the simplest way to ensure you never miss another one. The stuck feeling is a signal, not a sentence. It is a call to action that can be answered with the smallest possible movement toward the work that is sitting right in front of you. Sarah has found her peace in the now, and she invites you to do the same, to step through the portal and into the flow of a life that is finally, beautifully, and permanently in motion. The email is sent, the dish is washed, the coat is hung, and the Deep Mind Portal is yours to claim. Click the subscribe button to stay connected to this journey of self-mastery.